Chapter 1. The Wrath of Poseidon. Poor Odysseus, stop worrying. I shall not keep you here any longer. I shall send you away at once if you wish. I want to help you, but you must do your share. Build yourself a good sturdy raft. I'll promise you bread, water, wine, and a strong wind to bear you home again, if the other gods are willing. As Calypso said this, Odysseus shuddered. O goddess, you're planning something else when you tell me to cross the wide sea in a raft. Getting across is a difficult job even for swift and sturdy ships. I would not set out in a raft unless you promised to plan no injury against me, for you are a goddess with strength beyond that of mortals. You are wrong, insisted Calypso. Let heaven and earth be witness that I plan you no harm. I shall take the same care of you that I would take of myself in a similar difficulty. I am not made of iron. I do feel sorry for you, but why do you wish to return home? If you knew how many troubles lie ahead of you before you reach your home, you would prefer to stay here with me, to become an immortal like me. Why do you wish to see your wife again? Surely she is not mortal than I. Sacred goddess, diplomatically replied Odysseus, don't be angry with me. I know that my wife Penelope is inferior to you in all respects. After all, you are immortal and will never be old. But even so, I'd like above all else to return home and to set foot once again on my native soil. If one of the gods again brings me to a grief on the sea, I'll have to bear it patiently. I've already suffered much on the sea and in war. As he spoke, the sun set and darkness came on. When the dawn had streaked the east with red, Odysseus rose and went to the farthest end of the island where the trees were tallest. With tools that Calypso had supplied, he had set out building the raft. He built it wide and strong, with mast, sails, and a rudder. On the 4th day he finished it. On the 5th day, immortal Calypso set him forth well stocked with water and provisions, and she sent him a favorable wind, warm and gentle. Odysseus spread his sails to the helpful breeze and guided the raft skillfully with the rudder. He kept watch upon the constellations to hold his direction true. He saw that Pleiades, which some called the Seven Sisters, and the Bear, which others called the Dipper. Oh, sorry. Ah. I don't know how that happened. Calypso had advised him to keep the Bear on his left so that he would sail towards the east. For 17 days he sailed over the sea. On the 18th he sighted land, the shadowy mountains of the land on the Phaeacians. But at just this moment Poseidon returned from his far visit. He spied his enemy, Odysseus, at a distance. Angrily, he said to himself, the moment I turn my back, the gods help Odysseus. Still, I will not let him escape scot-free. He gathered the clouds, stirred up the sea, and let loose a mighty storm. All the winds struggled at once, sending up towering waves. Odysseus trembled and cried in anguish, unlucky Odysseus again! I am afraid that the goddess spoke the truth when she said that I'd have many difficulties before getting back home. My troubles are beginning. In this tempest my destruction seems certain. How lucky were those comrades of mine who died in the Trojan War itself. It would have been better had I been killed the day the Trojans slew great Achilles. At least then I'd have been mourned as a hero. Now I am doomed to die a miserable death. He had barely finished speaking when a wave sent him ahead, whirling him about at the same time. In the tumult he was swept off the raft, his hands away from the rudder. The mast broke in two, and the sail fell in the sea. He had difficulty in keeping afloat, for his clothes were soaked and heavy. He struggled to the surface, choking on the bitter salt of the sea. Yet he knew enough to try to reach the raft. Barely grasping it, he heaved himself onto it once again. The terrible storm continued, tossing the raft about wildly. In this violent tempest, I know, a lesser goddess of the sea took pity upon Odysseus. In the midst of the tumult she addressed Odysseus, unhappy man, why is Poseidon so angry with you that he plots so many evils for you? Well, have one consolation. He can never destroy you, though he would like to. To save yourself, try to reach the land of Phaeacians. Swim for it. Take this scarf and wind it around your chest. It will protect you from further disaster. But when you reach the shore, throw it back into the sea as far as you can. Having spoken, gave him the scarf and disappeared under the waves. Odysseus hesitated a moment. Alas, perhaps this is more trickery to get me away from the security of the raft. Still, I do see land far off in the distance. I'll wait. As long as these planks hold out, I'll stick with the raft. When the raft has been destroyed, then I'll swim. That seems best. As he was thinking, Poseidon sent another towering wave against him, menacing and terrible. It scattered the planks of the raft like so many chaff in the wind. Odysseus grasped one sturdy plank and mounted it as if it were a horse. He took off his saggy clothes, put the scarf round his chest, and dove off into the sea, swimming frantically. Old Poseidon saw him again and muttered, "Good! You are having your troubles now. Even if you do get to shore, you will remember my entertainment for you." And he drove off in his sea carriage to his magnificent palaces. Athena took advantage of Poseidon's absence to quiet all the winds except the north wind. She commanded him to help Odysseus reach shore safely. Once again, 2 days Odysseus tossed in the heavy seas. Often he thought death was near. On the third day there was a breathless calm. He could see land near at last. He swam closer and saw his dismay that the shoreline was rough and jagged with rocks. Again, Odysseus lamented to himself, "My troubles are not over. After struggling to get near the land, I find it surrounded by sharp rocks and smooth cliffs. If I try to land, I may be crushed on a rock. If I swim out again and try to find a better harbor, another storm may cast me back to sea and to my death. I know too well how Poseidon feels about me." As he pondered, another billow bore him to the rough shore. He would have been crushed and torn to bits if Athena had not warned him to look out. He grasped a rock with both hands and held on until the wave had passed. But the backwash of the wave struck him and carried him out to sea again. The skin on his hand was stripped off. He sank beneath the wave. Then he would indeed have perished if Athena had not encouraged him again. He swam outside the beakers looking for sloping shores or harbors. At last he came to the mouth of a beautiful flowing river, smooth and sheltered. He prayed aloud to the god of the river. "Hear me, whoever you are. I come to you fleeing the wrath of Poseidon. Take pity on me. I have suffered much already. Even the immortal gods must pity a poor wanderer." The river god heard, and helped him to the mouth of the river by staying the river slope. Odysseus sank to his knees, weary and battered by the salt sea. For a moment he lay breathless and speechless, his strength gone. At last he caught his breath and recalled his duty. He took off the scarf that had carried him to safety, and cast it into the river. Then he threw himself down and kissed the earth. Once again he took stock of the situation. "What shall I suffer next? What will happen to me? If I stay here overnight by the river, the wet, the wind, and the cold will probably be too much for me in my exhausted condition. On the other hand, if I go further inland for protection against the wind, I may make a meal for some beast of prey." In the end, he decided to risk the second course. He hastened to the forest. He found near the river a group of trees with a clearing surrounding. He made a rough bed, heaped leaves over himself, and fell fast asleep. And that is the end of chapter 1.